when we had an opening for a morning keynote, I could think of no one better than to come and speak to the Central Ohio community about what he's learned over the past 20 years in the field research around leadership and personal responsibility, and how he's analyzed it and practiced it and watched people go through it and helped people go through it. So I think you're going to find his talk really engaging, and I hope that as part of this, you find the leadership gift that you all have, and he helps you unlock it within you. So without further ado, I'd like to present Christopher Avery.
Leading has nothing to do with power, position, or authority or status. Nothing. Leading is attitudinal. Leading is behavior. Leading is action. Leading is about assuming ownership or responsibility for some space, situation, problem, opportunity, upset, and then mobilizing action around that space. That is, accountability and responsibility are not the same thing. However, accountability is the first tool of management. It's a billion-dollar consulting industry to teach organizations how to drive accountability into the organization. It's the first tool of management because it's the reason for hierarchy. We have work to do that demands more than one person, so we divide the work up into parts and we hire other people and we delegate that, and then we have a performance management process, and that whole process is called the process of accountability. Responsibility is internal, where accountability is external. Accountability is always a relationship between you and somebody else. Whether or not you are held to account isn't up to you, it's up to that other person. So responsibility is about how we respond when things go wrong. For how many is that people don't resist change, people resist being changed. What it says is that the moment you give a big change initiative a name, you're asking people to focus on saluting this noun, this named change initiative, instead of focus on performance and value. And no wonder people resist, because they knew you should have been making these changes a long time ago. In our way of working, change is a verb, in that we're constantly inspecting and adapting and reorganizing around value and performance and priority and all these things that you know. And therefore, it's much easier to make 1,000 or 10,000 little changes than it is to make one large change. We entered this model with a problem, with something going wrong. And by a problem, I mean a uh-oh, a whoops, a upset, an oh crap. I don't mean a really juicy, fun challenge. I mean ugh. And it turns out that the first thing you and I do when something goes wrong is we have thoughts of who did this to me. Now, we've been told our whole lives that we shouldn't blame. Here's what we haven't been told. If you're human, you're hardwired for it to be your very first thought every time something goes wrong. They say, why are you giving your power away? And all that is a cause-effect equation, saying that if the cause for my misery is what somebody else is doing or being or has, then my misery won't change until they change. Responsibility is internal. It's a feeling of ownership. And it's subjective. Write that down. He says it's subjective. That means it's different for everybody. How much or how little of your life, your work, your situation, your problem, your upset, your failure, your challenge, how much or how little of that you're willing to own is up to you. So it's different for every one of us. And it's also transient, which means it comes and goes. So where I said I'd be the guy that says, oh honey, I'm so sorry, I'll run right out and do that, I've also been this guy over here. Right? It's transient. Our feeling of ownership for situations comes and goes. So it's subjective and it's transient and it's internal. And I submit to you that far more important than accountability is responsibility, both in terms of individual success and happiness and freedom, as well as relationship success, team, culture, performance. There's a billion-dollar accountability industry out there that I mentioned. The more successful they are at driving accountability into an organization, what I see is the more responsibility goes down.